Man, oh man, I'm kind of tired of seeing all these articles that saying we're going to get rid of these low performers and we're going to sack another 4,000 people. And it is absolutely brutal. It is absolutely brutal when you're thinking about it. But then I saw somebody online making a video saying, sacking all these people isn't too bad because when you look at the numbers, when you're saying Facebook's going to let go of 5% of their workforce, from 100 people, that is 5 to low performers. So that brought me up to a quote that said, you never have to be the fastest guy in the camp to not get eaten by the bear. You just got to be faster than the slowest one. And this is kind of what these people are saying now. They're saying, oh, if you're the sixth person, you're good. So they're just going to cut from 100 people, they're going to cut 5. And so if you're the sixth lowest performer, you're good. You still got your job because they're going to cut the 5 first. But that doesn't say that they're not going to cut you next round, right? And I love when you guys send me articles like this that say, hey, we're still in it and there's going to be more and more layoffs coming because they're just AI's taking over and we're seeing all this other stuff, right? And I can't stress this enough. Whenever I have calls, because I am in the helping people get jobs field, right? So whenever I go on these calls where there's people like, I've been sending out 200 applications, haven't heard back from one of them, and then I look at it and it's like, this resume is absolute trash. How you're applying is absolute trash. When have you last job searched? Oh, 2020 or 2009 or something like it. And they've been working at their company for so long, and now they're like, okay, what do you do? It's a different time. Everything before 2023, I believe, where it was kind of easy to get a job because they were like, hey, we're hiring, and okay, you got a pulse and you got a social, we'll hire you. And now all of a sudden, it takes longer. People need to understand the finesse of it. People need to understand that now it's a dance. It's like you gotta do it the right way. It's not just submitting your resume that got chewed up by your dog and then you submitted it and you got a phone screen. No, now you gotta show that you're either making money or saving money. And when you're not likable, and there's a lot of people that I get on calls that are not likable, you gotta make sure that you can portray in the interview that you're the right fit for the job, that you're a cultural fit, that you can do the things that they're going to ask you. Because now the question that I'm going to ask you to put down in the chat is, if they're going to let all these Meta employees go, right? And Meta has a pull, like it or not. If you work for Meta, you're pretty good at what you do, right? Because they wouldn't have hired you at Meta if you didn't meet a certain criteria, almost like Ivy League schools, right? They kind of do the vetting for you. So now, if they're gonna all get all these people going and they're not meeting Meta standard, so the question now becomes, is a low performing Meta employee still better than a non-other performing Meta, right? So is somebody that's low performer at Meta basically still better at their job than somebody from a normal company that's a high performer, right? That is for you to evaluate, right? And when I read these comments and I'm looking at it like, interesting stuff, but you got to showcase it. And when you're in an interview, you're basically selling. That's why you're like always in sales. As a business owners, you have to be always be selling. You always got to do something. You always got to network. And people hate it. They say, I'm not going to network in my field. I'm not going to do this. I was like, why not? Oh, it's just not good. I'm just not, I don't want to go on these calls, and I don't like coffee chats, and I don't like this. But it's these coffee chats that get you into the door. It's these coffee chats that will make you stand out, or get you in touch, or get to know how the application works, what they're going to ask in the interviews. And if you have all these insights, you can really set yourself up for success. And now, what I'm telling you is you gotta be smart. You really gotta be smart, and you gotta understand numbers. And from my understanding of Americans and the finance and everything else, it is like, you guys do not understand how finances work. And a lot of you guys know. So we ran tests with people in our school community, and you could join. The free link is right here. And we ran tests. So we basically helped them with resumes, cover letter, LinkedIn, and we basically said, this is how you apply, right? And so we got 1 in every 4th application was a job offer. So you send out on average 40 applications and you got a job offer. This was just recent. So we secured a 7% interest interview to application rate, right? So on tech jobs, what is 5% above average, and we got this from a third party. So this was all kind of vetted. And now this is where the numbers come in. And Americans just have something about them that, hey, numbers don't really matter at all. It's more about the touchy-feeliness of it than its actual bare numbers. So if I told you, right, the average salary in the United States is $65,000. Every month of job searching that you're job searching and you're not securing a job is going to cost you $5,416, right? So every month that you're not doing anything or you're not securing a role is going to cost you that much money. So if it takes you by yourself 6 months, that's about $33,000, $32,000, 496, right? So now, when you have help, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be anybody that you pay online. It could be your cousin that's a recruiter or anybody else, right? And it will take you half of that time. That's a saving of $16,248. And so now you can throw your cousin or your recruiter, anybody else that is helping you, a few $1,000s. Why? Because you just saved $16,300. And now the thing is, when you tell these people, hey, are you gonna invest or are you gonna spend this much money to get there? People are like, nah, can't do it. And then I'm like, okay, it's not my money that you're wasting, but it's your own money that you're wasting. And so when I'm looking at all these people and all these articles, and I talk to all these people, they'll say, oh, doing all this and hanging out, and they're laughing, and then they meet my team 3 months later, almost crying that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be homeless coming up here. And I said, so what, what changed? Well, I haven't secured an interview. How many applications have you sent out? 500. How did you do it? Oh, I just sent ChatGPT thing, and I just did that, and I just mass applied, raged applied, and now I'm like, okay, if you do the GPT thing, right, and you're like, hey, this is what everybody does and whatnot, don't you think now that these ATS systems and these recruiters that see that, hey, most of this stuff is all AI done? Because if everybody uses AI to apply, right, and everybody does the same thing, don't you think that then they're like, hey, this is AI, and they see somebody that doesn't use AI, this is an interesting thing. And so this is why you gotta network. And this is why I've been telling you guys, you gotta do the LinkedIn thing. You gotta, even if you hate it, you gotta put yourself a little bit out there, because I've never heard anybody that said, hey, if you're gonna put yourself out there, it's gonna really, really damage you. Yeah, if you're gonna put out there some nonsense about who knows what, and it's gonna really, really backfire because you went off on a rant and said something that was super inappropriate. But if you use it, if you use your image positively and trying to do something good and trying to help people out, and if you put yourself out there, you're gonna be like, hey, this is really, really good. But I know a lot of you guys are really unhappy because they go online with their user 1629 and they're gonna say, this is all nonsense, this is all garbage, and they come up and they do a whole bunch of, like the keyboard warriors that are stuck. And it's like, oh my gosh, you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta utilize these opportunities. And I cannot tell you how many times people approach me and say, I like your content, let's do coffee chat or do this. And I say, sure. And we'll hang out. I even go and meet them in person. I say, you know what? I can help you. I'll throw you some resources. I'll help you out this, because you never know when it is time for you to ask a favor, and you gotta utilize your network, right? And people have this misconception that, hey, I haven't been providing value to my peers, to my network forever, but now I'm laid off, and now all of a sudden you're gonna respond to 10-year-old LinkedIn messages happened, right? Saying, yeah, I'm up for that coffee chat. And it's like, dude, I sent you this in like 2016. Where are you now? And and I had this same thing going on where I was looking for investors because I was going to build something. And I looked for investors, and years later, that person came back and said, well, I'm ready now. I'm ready. It's like, nah, I'm sorry, I'm not looking for it. It's like, well, I got all the money, I got all this, like, let's do it. It's like, nah, sorry, I don't want to work with you no more. You denied me when I was nobody, and now you came back and like, nah, I don't need you. I'm sorry. I I just be hurting myself if I take you on, because then there's less money for me. So I'm not gonna do that. And so the lesson always is you gotta put yourself out there and take the right opportunities, and and if one door closes, the next one might open. So what you gotta do is just be open-minded and be given. Even if you have a job right now and you're feeling really good, you never know when you're gonna need it, right? And understand that, hey, $200, $300, or $1,000 to get to where I want to go quicker is better than me figuring shit out on my own end, right? Because let's face it, can I repair brakes on my car? I probably can with AI now and all this other stuff. I can do it, but is that wise of me? Probably not, right? So you bring it to a mechanic, you give it to an expert. And can you cook at home? Yeah, but sometimes you want the convenience of just having somebody else do all the stuff for you, and you just pay money for it. And so a life lesson I feel like people need to learn is, hey, paying yourself to get in front of the line and getting all the resources, getting all the tools, and trying to get you to your destination faster isn't really a bad thing. You just can't get scammed along the way. And there's scammers, there's a bunch of them. But hey, if you do your research, if you read reviews, you do all this other stuff, it shouldn't be hurting you. Because if they'll promise you, hey, I'm going to give you a $20,000 return on investment, it's too good to be true. I can make you 20 grand with $100 investment in 2 days. It's just not going to happen, right? Or you got to invest so much money, like 100 here, 100 here, that one of them pays out. But then your cost average is so much more than just $100. And maybe you get lucky. Maybe you invest $100 and it turns into who knows what. There's these stories out there too. But these are few and many of in between, right? So you just gotta be aware and looking at it, hey, I can get laid off, and I can. And when I say that, it sounds crazy, right? Because people say, oh, I'm not gonna be laid off. I'm not gonna be let go. I'm a manager. I'm working on this crucial product. No, nobody is crucial enough. They can get rid of CEOs, they can get rid of employees, and the business just goes on like every other day has been before you, and it will just go on like every other day after you. So don't make the mistakes. And I see these people say, oh, I'm irreplaceable, I have the secret sauce, and I have all this other stuff. Then they just make another secret sauce. And if you do have that, then you just got to be smart enough to know that, hey, patent it, trademark it, or do something else, or you're out. And that's just how the corporate world is. You just have to be aware. And I feel like a lot of you guys not aware, zero awareness, and that's fine, because not everybody has the same set of skills, right? There's some people that are so smart, so technical, that I just like, how did you even do that? I couldn't even get my head wrapped around half of what you said, but hey, it works and it's genius, right? But interpersonal skills, not so much. So you just got to make it and know that, hey, these are my flaws, let me get some help. And most of the time, it really, really works out. And these people that are aware probably don't need help, right? But if you're so technical and you just can't do it, or you just can't figure it out on your own, it's probably better to get some help. Because when I look at senior leaders and I look at all these other people, most of these times they're just really good at people. They have really good people management skills, but technical skills they know nothing about. That's why when I was working in my first job, they always said, oh, these leaders, they're so idiots and they know nothing what we're doing down here. Yeah, because they have people skills. And once you're senior enough in your career, people skills matter way, way more than your technical skills. And that's why when you're really good at coding and they promote you to leadership and all this other stuff, it's not necessarily good for you because you're like, I'm losing touch with my coding skills and everything else. And a whole new set of skills has to be needed because now you're a manager. Now you got a budget. Now you got to be going to high level meetings and making sure that your team has enough information, but not too much so they can that you can make informed decisions and filter out what they need to know and not clog their heads with worries and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So you gotta be aware of all these things. And this is what's gonna separate you from being a good manager and a good leader to a horrible leader, right? Just because you're good at coding doesn't make you a good people manager. And just because you're a good people manager doesn't make you a good coder, right? So this is my 2 cents. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, it is crazy time around here. But hey, the weather's great. I'm in my jeans jacket. The weather's nice, hanging out. And yeah, I love you guys. If you haven't, please like and subscribe and make videos like this all the time. And if you have articles you want to send me, just go to the about section of my profile, send them to me. And yeah, I really, really appreciate you guys. And I'll see ya in the next one.